let's start with my game, or continue with my game. It's a lot less complicated, so
Thank God.
it should be a quick one. It's easy to get less complicated than that. But yeah, my game is The Heart of Salamander Land for the Amstrad CPC. It's released in 2024, a couple months ago, and it's really new. It's made by Juan Martinez. And he is actually a listener of the podcast as well, so I can't say bad things about his game.
No, his game is wonderful. Everyone go and get his game.
Go play it. That's all I'm saying. No, that's not true. But
what do you mean that's not true? Is it not? It's not bad, is it?
It's good, but I mean, I'm going to talk about it more.
Yeah.
So this game is an action platformer.
Not gated exploration.
I'll get back to that later.
Okay.
You're playing like a sort of Indiana Jones kind of character with a whip. Mm-hmm. He's called Patton, and he's tracking an ancient relic, and he found a key and a map to Dragonsteel Mountain, and he's going to explore it. So you start outside of a sort of dungeon.
Okay.
With a key and your whip, and it's a platformer, so you immediately get greeted by platforms with pits and spikes under it. So you have to jump over those.
Clearly. And you don't want to land on a spike yet.
No, well, the spikes are your biggest enemy in this game.
Okay, right.
So, and there's also already some zombies walking around, so you can whip them and kill them.
Whip the zombie.
Then you use your key for the door for the dungeon, and then you're in the dungeon. So it's like a nice introduction of the game, that you start outside and then you go into the dungeon. It's only like 3 screens or something.
Nice, yeah.
And
nice.
The dungeon, well, is a sort of maze. So it's an interconnected world. It's flip screen, and you get in there.
What do you mean by interconnected world?
So you can go back screens, and you can go.
It's like it says a huge map. Yeah. Okay,
yeah, you have to explore the whole dungeon, and the dungeon is filled with enemies. There's skulls floating around. You can whip. When they touch you, you lose 1 energy point. And there is also switches and keys to be found in the dungeon.
Okay.
So when you hit a switch with your whip, something changes in the dungeon. So not directly on the screen you are, but on another screen. So, for example, there will be a bridge somewhere suddenly, or there will be a wall removed in the dungeon somewhere.
Do you get any clue, like sounds?
Well, what happens is that you see the screen and you see what changes.
But you don't know where it is.
You don't know where it is. So maybe you've been there already, and you remember that where the room is. But most of the time, you think, okay, I've seen that room, but I don't know where it is anymore. Mm-hmm. So you have to find it again to continue. So
it's a huge map.
It's a pretty big map. It's 55 screens. And most of the time in that in a screen contains of like 3 layers of platforms. So there's like a upper layer, a bottom layer, and a middle layer. And you can't jump from one layer to another. So you have to go into another screen, maybe climb a ladder up, and then go back and to get to that other layer of the screen. So if you count it like that, then it's more like 55 times 3 because you have to go back and forth all the time in these screens. So there's those switches, and there's also keys to be found to open doors. So in a way, it is a gated exploration game because you explore. There's gates. There's gates. You find keys. You find switches to change elements in the rooms.
Yeah.
And you have to find 9 tiers. I don't know. It's like I thought it was like, I thought it were blue flames, but apparently there are tiers, and they are spread around in the map. So you see them just laying around, but sometimes you don't know how to get there, and you have to.
Do you know what a tier is? What is a tier?
Like when you cry.
Tier. Okay. So I thought TIER is like what? No, okay, tier. Yeah. Okay.
So, but yeah, the if you can imagine, it gets really maze-like, this game, that you have to find certain switches, and then something changes, and then you have to go back there again, and you have to, it's a lot of exploration. But why I think this isn't a gated exploration game, when I think of a gated exploration game, you unlock abilities to get further. For example, a double jump or something, and then you can get higher. But that's not the case in this game. It's just switches, keys, that's it.
So you played it all until the end?
Well, let's get into that.
Okay.
Your character has 5 health points and 3 lives. So when your health points are down, when you get touched by an enemy, for example, then you get 1 health point less. And when you lost all your health points, you die. But you also die when you jump into a spike pit. Then you just immediately lose a life.
Die. Yeah.
What if you just fall like from a platform to below another
There's no fall damage. No.
Okay, no fall damage.
Fortunately. So you can use that as shortcuts sometimes. Because sometimes you fall like 3 screens down. And sometimes that's even needed to get it to some places. So then you have to jump down into a pit, but without the spikes. And then you fall down into another screen, for example. So sometimes that's needed. But the problem is you have those 3 lives, and that's it.
And then it's game over.
Then it's game over. And this game has a lot of modern sensibilities. For example, Coyote Time. I don't know if you know what that is.
Coyote Time?
No.
Coyote Time is when you go over a ledge, you can walk a little bit farther over a ledge, just like Wall-E Coyote and
for jumping, you mean?
And then jump. So it gives you a little bit leeway before you fall down into the pit. So you can jump a little bit later than you think you could jump. But because this is an Amstrad CPC game, you don't expect that. You always jump a little bit too early. And when you jump too early, you can't make the jump. And then you jump in the pits, and then you lose a life. So it's really easy to just lose all lives in like the first 5 screens if you're not used to that.
So you got to get used to the jumping,
So if you're used to the jumping, it gets better and easier. And then there's all the enemies, which could kill you. There's like, I think 6 different enemy variety. First there's just floating skulls, which you have to whip out of the air. They just patrol back and forth, and if they are higher, you have to jump and whip, or else they fly into your face. So that's a bit Castlevania-like. So you have to get handy into jumping and whipping, and get the timing right. But that's not bad, because you just lose 1 health point and you can just continue on. And it's even like every modern platform game, you get a little bit of iframes when you get hit. Then you get flashing, and then you can just sometimes damage boost through an enemy because they just do 1 hit point. So that's not bad. And then there's sort of snakes you can hit. They're really easy. And later on, you get tougher enemies. For example, skeletons with swords which charge you. So when they see you, they run into you, and I think they also hit harder. So you lose like 2 hit points. And there's, for example, demons which you have to hit 3 times before they die. And even later on, there's wizards which shoot fireballs at you, which are very hard to avoid. So it gets harder. But the good thing is there is also health potions in the map. So if you get down into 1 or 2 health, then you can just grab a potion and then you're full health again.
Yeah, if you find them.
The terrible thing about it is that those health potions never replenish. So when you use them, they're gone. And the enemies respawn.
That's no in my book.
So you're exploring that map, and sometimes you don't know where to go. So you go into a screen, you kill all enemies, and then you think, oh no, that's not a good screen. You go away. So it's really easy to fight way too many enemies than you need to. So you also have to sort of know the route of the game. So first of all, you don't want to jump in those pits because you lose a life.
Yeah, no one wants to jump in pits. Yeah.
And second of all, you have to know the route of the game.
What do you mean by the route? The route around. Yeah.
Because you want to avoid combat as much as possible. Because every encounter is a possibility to lose a health point, and there's not many replenishment of potions of health. So that's where the difficulty really kicks in. Because, for example, you start the game, you jump like immediately in the pit, and you lose 1 life. So you have 2 lives left, and then you start, and it gets harder and harder, and you don't expect it because, you think, okay, you don't expect that hard enemies as well, which go to shoot you. So, I ended up getting pretty far. There's like 9 of those collectibles you have to find, and I think I got 6. But then I was down onto my last life, and I had like 2 health points left, and I had to confront like 2 wizards, and it was just like immediately game over. And when you game over, you start the whole game over again.
Yeah, there's no like a rogue element here where you can keep something.
No. So I think this game, I really liked what I played. It felt pretty modern. The controls are really good. The combat I liked as well. It was fair, the combat. I think if you're good enough, you can avoid those fireballs the wizards are shooting, for example. But I think if you want to beat this game, you have to get a big paper or something or make screenshots, or you have to make a map or something, and also make the route for yourself, so you know where to go, which switch you have to hit first, then go to there, and because there's sort of order in how to navigate this game.
Yeah, and so this is not procedurally generated. This is crafted.
No, it's just fixed order.
Yeah.
And I played it, I think, for 2 hours. And I had like several game overs, and so I didn't get very far. Like I said, 5 of the 9 flames. And when you find those 9 flames, you have to go to a certain spot in the map as well. And then there's, I think, a final boss fight.
Okay, and like boss fight, yeah.
So, and you also, probably that boss fight probably kills you as well. So
you have to start all over again.
You need to have full health probably when you get there. I don't know yet, but
maybe checkpoints would have been. You remember what's it called? Jesse Jaeger we did. Maybe you could implement something like that. So
it would be nice to have either when you pick up like one of those tiers that it's also a checkpoint, or maybe it gives you a life or something. Just to get
just to help you a bit
of something to hold on. But then again, I watched. There's already a full playthrough on YouTube of someone playing this game, and he plays it pretty much perfectly. And it took him only 22 minutes to beat the game.
But it's always that way, isn't it? So someone knows the game inside out and just goes, "Oh, this is too easy." They're finished. But someone who's more casual player, pretty difficult.
Well, I think that that's my personal opinion, and probably doesn't vibe with everyone, especially nowadays. But I think that a game gives you also fun time as you solve the game, not just going start to finish in one run. So I wouldn't say that the game, if it takes 20 minutes to finish, I wouldn't say the game is short. If it then took you 2 months to learn how to finish it in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Of
so
course,
that
if you had fun, that's the most important thing, because if it frustrates you, then it's not a good thing. But
no, I think this game is fair if you learn it, and I think that's the most fun of this game, figuring out the maze. Just write it down or something. Just maybe make a little map on paper and write down what route you have to take to get further. And I think if you play this more and more, then you just learn it, and then you can easily beat it. But I think the learning process is the most fun of this game. So I think that it's a fair game, and I like what I played. And but if you get far in the game and game over, it's pretty frustrating because I didn't know what steps I took before. So if I didn't write anything down, and then I felt, okay, so what did I learn? I actually didn't learn a lot because I don't know the steps anymore, what to take. So I think the best way is just to sort of write everything down, and then I think that it's nice to unfold the game and get further and further. I think that's a fun way to do this game.
Would it have been better if the whole dungeon was divided into, say, 4 or 5 smaller dungeons?
In a way, that's already true, because like you go into that dungeon and then you find the key, and then you get into a sort of hub, sort of like a place where there's 2 or 3 locked doors, and if you find another key, then you go into that wing of the dungeon. So it's more like I think it is sort of sectioned off, but you can't really see, and that's maybe.
But they always look the same, right?
Right, that's one of the shortcomings of this game, is that the sprite sheet is a little bit small, I guess, because everything looks like the blue background and the yellow bricks, and so that's also hard to figure out where you are in the map, and there's no like places which stick out as a place that you think, oh, this is
unique place,
where I am. So it's really sometimes really hard to know where you are in the map, and so and you don't have a map. It would be nice if there's a map screen. I think that would be the best solution to make this game more accessible, to have like a map in the game, an in-game map, which maybe gradually unlock. I don't know if that's feasible on the Amstrad CPC, because I have no idea what the capabilities of this system is. I like the graphics, I like the music. I feel it's a bit like Commodore 64 music and graphics, less brown.
Well, it looks good.
You probably know what the capabilities of the system is, but I played really well. And the music loop was a little bit short. There's just one track, and it was looping, but it was like a really nice bit of music which sticks in your head, and just you start humming with it. But maybe for people it could get old, but I don't know. I like the music.
I think that so I saw some video gameplay of this game, and at first sight, it immediately reminded me of Rick Dangerous. I used to play the Amiga version a lot back then, but maybe without the same humor. Doesn't look that funny as or silly as Rick Dangerous.
No,
but,
it's pretty serious.
Yes. But also without, as far as I can see, without those many gotcha places that you have in Rick Dangerous, where you really, really have to know that there's going to be a spike springing out from that wall at that particular place.
This game is very fair. What you see is what you get, actually. There's no surprises or something.
The only thing that concerns me a bit is what you said about the Coyote Fall. Because, I'm not sure I would like that, a game to play like that.
Most modern platformers have that Coyote time to get a little bit. Your timing of your jump, you can time it a little bit later, and then it's still good. But the problem is, the pit is wider, so you have to use that Coyote time to get to the other side.
Yes, and that's what I meant. What concerns me a bit.
Actually, the pits should be a little bit less wide, and then also have the Coyote time, so you always make the jump. But now it's the Coyote time and the wider pit, so maybe it's just like you don't have any benefits of that Coyote time anymore.
Yes,
it's more like
that's
a
what I meant.
Maybe.
But, I understood from your previous comments that it was like that, and that's the only thing that worries me a bit about the playability. Of course, if you get used to it, maybe you don't notice at some point, but...
Right, when I got used to it, but it took me a while to get used to it, weirdly enough. You always want to jump earlier. You want to, when you're at the ledge, you jump. And maybe it's because of the retro aesthetic that you know that these kind of games, you have to always jump slightly earlier than you used to. Because
maybe
you're playing
they could
a game
just
on
make
old
like
system.
a bit more tolerance in the jump. That's it. So you can jump a bit earlier. So the jump doesn't necessarily have to feel like the thing that you lose at, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also because I don't think it doesn't feel to me by looking at it that the point of the game is being good at jumping. Feels to me that the point of the game is exploring, figuring out where are the switches that do what, where are the keys, where are the tiers to collect.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, yes, a little bit of actions with whipping the monsters, but it doesn't give me the feeling, by the look, that one of the point of the game for being fun is in the jumping. So maybe this
that could be true.
Is a little bit of detraction from the fun.
Yeah, maybe, but I didn't. When I got used to it, it was just like a thing I didn't think about anymore. But I lost a lot of lives just because jumping in the spikes. And maybe if those spikes didn't remove a life immediately, just maybe one hit point or two, that you just get out of there and maybe lose 1 or 2 hit points, it would also be less cruel. Because now there's also no way to pick up any lives anymore, so you have to do it with those 3 lives. And that can be very hard and sometimes very punishing to explore, because with the respawns of some enemies, and you're already maybe low on lives, maybe low on health, and then you're almost afraid to continue playing because you don't want to die and you don't want to lose all the progress. So for me, the balance was maybe going to be a bit too hard, but maybe it's also what you say, maybe you have to figure this game out in a couple of months or something, instead of me just playing it for 2 hours to review this game. So I don't know if there's a many CPC games coming out, homebrew. But yeah, what I said, I enjoyed what I played. I don't know if I want to grind this game out to see it see the finish, to see the end
this
of
is
the
a
game.
big say here. You're not going to finish it.
I don't think
I'm joking.
I don't think I have the perseverance to do it. So,
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
But it's maybe the type of game. Maybe when it was a proper gated exploration game where I unlock abilities to get, for example, better at jumping. Maybe if you unlock a double jump later on, then it's easy to get over those spikes, and then there are just no worry anymore. Or if you get a better weapon, maybe you can shoot later. Then you can shoot those enemies away really easily, and then it's really easy to explore. So that's what a gated exploration does. You get better, your character gets better and better and better, and gets easier and easier and easier to explore the game. So at the start of the game, a normal proper exploration game or a gated exploration game, you start off a little bit weak, and it's hard to get through the first sections of the game. And then when you get all the upgrades, then the first sections of the game get pushed over. It's really easy
I know what you mean. Yeah,
but there's maybe more secrets to be found there. So then it's just more about exploration and not about the jumping and the combat anymore.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a stepping stone, right? So maybe he's done this as a first game, and then then he can enhance it later on and put these elements that you're saying in.
Yeah, but because if, for example, when I got at that point where I am the 5th tier or something, like the half of the game, and I got a weapon, like a gun or something, to shoot away the enemies, and maybe a bigger jump, then it would be a lot easier to explore the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And just finish it. But now it's just you're pushing against the difficulty all the time. Even the first sections of the game are annoying to get back to, because you think, okay, I can fall in one of those pits and it's game over. So there should, I don't know. For me, there should be like the end game should have been polished more, make you stronger, maybe give you lives, or there's something for me, I needed something more to push further in this game.
I agree. So I think this is part of the modern gaming sort of idea. Like this is what you've played as a bit of the unforgiving games of the 1980s sort of thing, taken to the next level in a way, but it's always like unforgiving. So you always, as you said, battling against the jump and stuff, and it maybe would have benefited from some, as you said, increase in capabilities or abilities, and then maybe I would also say checkpoints, some modern game design in there, so it would just take it to the next level and make it more easily accessible for people.
Yeah, I think I think you're correct. It's definitely just a 90s game. Yeah, I think, or an 80s game maybe even, that it has that difficulty. But then again, when it gets easier, then you play it for 30 minutes and it's done. So it's a difficult balance to get if you're making a pretty short game. It's also, of course, you have limited space to make this game. I think it should fit on a floppy drive. This site says the game is planned to be available on cassette, a 3-inch or a 3.5-inch diskette. So I don't know how much data can fit on those.
The big discs are 360 kilobytes. So, but there's a lot more than the Amstrad can actually handle there. So I don't know.
Yeah, but if it has to fit on one floppy drive, then you're also limited in scope of the game, and then of course limited in the length of the game, the time. So you maybe have to make it harder to get any gaming time out of it.
Yeah, I suppose. But we'll see. Maybe again, stepping stone in his career. I don't know if you remember in the interview with Space Pants Games, they said, if you want to start a game in doing these games, start little, do little scope, and do more games. And so maybe this is just one of the steps to get to the next level and the next level. And then he'll make better and better and better and more. It's not saying better games; it's the wrong word, but more modern sort of games or more accessible. And not.
If you look at his site, he makes tons of games. He already made a lot of games, so. He's an experienced homebrew developer.
Yeah.
And what I said, I really like the game, but it's maybe a bit too hard for me to get back after that game over so far in the game.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
Because I don't know what to do anymore. So
and also because time is limited. Yeah.
Right. So.
I didn't mean it that way. I didn't mean it that way. I just say because time is limited in your life. So that's what I mean. It's just like there's so many games, and there's always that compromise.
But I'm sure if you're a CPC enthusiast, you really would love this game.
Yeah.
It's just a really nice made game.